All right, let's jump right into this explainer and completely demystify the digital rules you absolutely need to survive and thrive as a newcomer in FDA-regulated industries. Look, if you're a fresher stepping into the world of pharma, biotech, or medical devices, you're stepping into an environment where your digital data is literally just as important as the physical products you're manufacturing. So today, we're going to break down exactly how you manage that data the right way, focusing heavily on a comprehensive guide to 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, deviation management, and change control. Let's get into it. We've got a super clear roadmap for today. We'll start with the incredibly high stakes of compliance, demystify Part 11, and cover the 4 core requirements. Then, we'll dive into managing deviations, look at the change control process, and wrap up with how to achieve truly audit-ready operations. Section 1, the high stakes of compliance. Before we even look at the rules themselves, we really need to figure out why this matters so much. What actually happens when data integrity is just ignored? Well, spoiler alert, it's not just a boring paperwork exercise. We are talking about mind-blowing, real-world violations. Seriously, inspectors have actually found torn batch records hidden on rooftops. I know, it sounds crazy, but it happened. The source material is full of massive real-world failures. Things like completely destroyed laboratory documents, missing quality control data, and unauthorized alterations to records without a single trace of an audit trail. When people panic and try to cover up mistakes outside of a controlled digital system, it just leads to absolute chaos. And if you want to know the true scale of this problem, check this out. A staggering 61% of FDA warning letters in 2021 cited Part 11 data integrity violations. Just think about that for a second. More than half of the severe warnings the FDA handed down that year weren't necessarily because a medicine was mixed wrong. It was because the digital records tracking that medicine simply couldn't be trusted. Data integrity is, without a doubt, the #1 trap for companies today. When you fail to maintain these standards, the fallout is brutal. We're talking massive product recalls all the way up to complete manufacturing shutdowns. The FDA just doesn't mess around here. If they drop a warning letter or an import alert on you, it can literally freeze a company's ability to sell anything at all. As a fresher entering this space, grasping this means you understand how to protect your company's entire operation, your own job, and most importantly, the patients who rely on these life-saving products. Moving on to Section 2, demystifying 21 CFR Part 11. Now that we know what's at risk, what exactly is this regulation everyone's always talking about? Enforced since 1997 for pharma, biotech, and medical devices, this is the foundational digital law of the land. Before 1970, everything was done on paper, with physical ink pens. When the industry naturally wanted to go digital, the FDA basically said, okay, sure, but only if your digital records are every bit as secure and trustworthy as your paper ones. And that's exactly what 21 CFR Part 11 is. It's the ultimate bridge from the old analog days to our modern digital world, dictating exactly how every single piece of software on the floor has to behave. Section 3, 4 core regulatory requirements. So how do we actually make a digital file as trustworthy as a physical document locked in a filing cabinet? It all boils down to these 4 core pillars. First up is system validation. This just means that before you use any software, you rigorously test it to prove it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Second, strictly controlling user access. You've got to have role-based permissions and multi-factor authentication, so only the right people can touch the records. Third, automated tamper-evident audit trails. If you change a number, the system automatically logs who you are, the exact time, and what the old number used to be. There's no hiding your tracks. And lastly, legally binding e-signatures. These are uniquely linked to you and cannot be transferred. Remember, the first time you log in and sign something digitally, it carries the exact same legal weight as signing a physical contract with a pen. Guard it with your life. Section 4. Managing unexpected deviations. Let's pivot slightly to the day-to-day reality you're actually going to face. Because let's be honest, equipment breaks, temperatures fluctuate, and mistakes happen. You have to understand that a deviation isn't just a simple oops. It's a critical event that demands non-negotiable, formal handling. Say a sterile room's temperature drops 2 degrees below the approved spec. That's a deviation. You can't just bump the thermostat back up and pretend nobody saw it. You have to handle it systematically to absolutely guarantee the product wasn't compromised. To turn that abstract idea into an everyday workflow, you just follow these 4 steps. First, spot the issue and log it immediately with full context. That's detect and document. Next, investigate. Don't just slap a Band-Aid on it. Dig deep and find the actual root cause. Third, apply CAPA, which stands for corrective and preventive actions. Basically, you fix the immediate fire and then you build permanent guardrails so it never sparks again. Finally, close and verify. Confirm the fix actually worked and make sure you've got a flawless audit trail ready for the FDA. Section 5. Structured Change Control Process. Once you've figured out how to fix a deviation, you're probably going to need to update a system to prevent it in the future, which brings us perfectly to change control. People sometimes think change control is just red tape, but it's really not. It's a highly documented shield that ensures quality is never compromised when you make a modification. You can't just randomly update software or tweak a recipe because it seems like a faster way to do things. Every single change has to be formally evaluated so you don't accidentally ruin a batch or completely shatter your compliance down the line. Much like deviations, this whole thing follows a highly predictable, easy-to-master rhythm. You initiate the request. The experts assess the impact. Quality assurance gives it the green light. You implement the change exactly as it was documented, and then you verify that it actually did what it was supposed to do without breaking anything else. It is a beautifully structured safety net. And here is the kicker. This process protects you, the employee, just as much as the patient. If you follow these steps, you're never out there guessing on your own. And finally, Section 6, Achieving Audit-Ready Operations. Let's see what happens when you master these concepts and actually apply them to your daily operations. Imagine completely unifying deviation management, change control, and audit trails into one single validated electronic quality management system, an EQMS. You get total end-to-end traceability. Instead of hunting through messy paper binders and disjointed software, everything is linked automatically. If an inspector questions a change control document, the system traces it right back to the original deviation, complete with timestamps and signatures. Combine that kind of software with regular, ongoing staff training, and you build an incredibly strong culture of compliance where everyone breathes a whole lot easier when audit time rolls around. Take Company X as a perfect example of this. They were dealing with growing complexity, struggling to manage deviations across multiple sites, and they were genuinely terrified about their data integrity and inspection readiness. But they took action. They implemented a fully validated Part 11 compliant EQMS with automated workflows. They brought their entire operation under one digital roof and became the gold standard for how to do this right. And the return on that investment? It's pretty undeniable. After struggling with data integrity, they pulled off 3 straight years of continuous compliance with exactly 0 FDA 483 observations. In case you're wondering, a 483 is that dreaded form the FDA hands you when they find something wrong during an inspection. Hitting absolute 0 on those for 3 years straight is the ultimate proof that an integrated digital approach to quality absolutely works. So, as you step out onto the floor and get ready to log your very first digital entry, I want you to remember that continuous improvement really does start with you. Ask yourself right now, are you ready for the FDA? Because every single time you enter data, electronically sign a document, or log a deviation, you are either actively strengthening your company's compliance shield or you're cracking it. Trustworthy records are the absolute bedrock of everything we do. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep those digital records pristine.